Good morning. Welcome. Happy Friday. Saratoga Friday. They're kicking it off with an allowance race. It's a good one, I thought. Um, Good. I would say it's definitely a good card. As I shared yesterday, I won't spend too much time, chatting other than please go my Mariners. If you ever follow me, this team is breaking my heart. I would say if you're a baseball follower, Mariners called up Kate Anderson. He's pitching Saturday against the Cubs. They play the Cubs tonight, but um it's a good card. Great weather. It looks like if you're up there, have fun. It's gonna be I think it's gonna be a great day. So they're kicking off an allowance. Most of these runners were entered for the main track. Race one was first posted at 10:10 Pacific. So what's that? 1:10 Eastern. So what, 90 minutes still post time? I thought it was the 2-horse race. Let's watch the race sim real quick. I thought this was between the 1 or 3. The 5 did scratch out. I probably was going to take action, I would say. But other than that, I didn't really think the 5. I didn't like the 5. I thought it was a 2-horse race before the scratches. I think it's still the same. Capture the flag really low, win percent. It's a toss-up between the 1 and the 3. I seen you're going to maybe get good value on the 1. I think even with the prior to the 5 scratching, you probably were only getting 2-1 on Tis Dashing. That was the morning line before the scratch of the 5. And again, the 6, 7, 8, 9 were all main track entries in case this race came off the turf, but it didn't because we got great weather. So, Tis Dashing, I put the 3 on top. But 3-1, I'll stick with the picks. The win percent, 2 different algorithms. Win percent likes the 1, the 3. It's changed, but it keeps kind of increasing. Also win the race sim. So, the 2-horse got strong GSR, but I'm not sure it can win. More underneath, but it's a short field. But Castellano, Barkley tag. 1-74. I'm like, so this horse is it's kind of struggled over the, let's say, years, because in 2026 is running much better as it runs in graded stakes, but not winning. But it does come from much tougher. So I can see why people really liked his dashing. I think that the move to 9.5 is fine. It's only run once. The genetic strength rating is strong. It finds a good spot. So it has a big shot. You're getting a good price. Maybe finally can kind of beat this 70 SOR level. It has really struggled other than won the turf race at Gulfstream. So you could say the source is in form and just taking a draw makes a lot of sense. It's Cugino. I land here. It's Shug. It's Pratt. Flavian might be in for a day, you all. He is 30 in wins. Manny at 47 and Flavor Flav at 42. So he's got big shots. Second off the layoff, comes out of Colonial, was the favorite in that race. Burn money, but against an allowance group, but also has faced tougher company. This is a brutal, the Pegasus World Cup turf. I tossed this race completely. Ran 9.5 at Gulfstream in the tempos. Was 4th place and completely stopped. Has sat really good trips, right on the lead versus much, much tougher than this. And so my perspective is hit the board in 12 of 16. I think Guino is just maybe a better horse than Tis Dashing, but it's going to be a great race, even though it's a 4-horse field. So for me, I'm too deep there. Let's keep rolling because we got a lot to go. I'm going to try to do these a little bit faster. Vulnerable favorite of the day, Whittington Park. I do not like this horse at all. It's not in the picks. It is 20% to win. This is a kind of a tricky race. It's a staple, and we'll always kind of run the race and always pace make the race for me. So I always try, people always ask, like, what do you do first? I always try to visualize the race. And can I visualize what's to happen? And then I start folding all the metrics in, whether it's win percent, the picks, the pace, the GS. Like, is the racing going to align the way I think it will align? And I'm not perfect, right? Like, but that's how I try to handicap it. So this is a tricky one because Dr. Kraft is a short price on the morning line. E-morning line so good. David in New York does a great job. So best U.S. odds maker in person, 100% is David Aragona. But E-morning line is good. It doesn't like William Park. William Park probably not even going to be the favorite. I think Dr. Kraft probably will be. Can this horse just wire the field? Yes. Yes, I think it can. I'll put it on top. I'll put Quick to Accuse second. I'll put Concede Spirit third. If you're deep spread, it's the 7 and 2. So I kind of struggle a little bit in this race. Like, do we go narrow or you deep spread? Mainly because connections. I mean, you get Pratt, which is great. Kanemachi, and forgive the pronunciation, the 2% in allowance optional claim. Like, I mean, it's brutal, but this is not a great state bed group, you all. It remains protected, takes a big drop, finally gets to the right spot. I mean, this, 6-year-old just been facing way too tough, been facing this group in most of these races, the 1 and the 3 also running, but finally gets a drop. But you could say the same thing about the 1 and 3. I put the 1 in second, but it's a big drop. 6 points in SOR is material. 2 back could win the race on the lead. Look at these races on the lead is much better than these other efforts. That's hit the board in 26 of 38. I mean, don't get me wrong. And I think that's why the drop makes this one tough. At the state bred level, been facing Stakes Company in 4 straight, right? So facing much tougher. And you get a much easier spot here. So, and maybe get sleep. But if there's pressure, it's kind of crazy because maybe Quick to Accuse takes the drop. We just talked about that. Ben in some of these same stakes races. Ben facing Open Company. I apologize. First runner at the meet for Panagiotis. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I apologize. So, Edgar's Eye is right. He'd been at Gulfstream. Most of you know I've been covering Gulfstream, obviously, in the summer meet, Fairgrounds in the winter and fall. But I mean, this horse fits 3 back in that stakes race at great stocking trip. So if there's a lot of speed, Zayas might sit the trip. He's only 5%. I mean, he only got 5 wins. It's been brutal for him as he's transitioned to New York. But I thought today might be a day. You might see a little bit of, and again, I'm just filling in for Oldie on Saratoga for Equinedge. But this horse fits. So 5-1. The 6 Concede Spirit if it falls apart, but been burning money. I won't spend too much time as long shot. Jackson Heights is the other Canamarici runner with the 7 in the 5. If the pace melts, look at this. It's kind of crazy. I mean, last summer, a year ago, its last wins, he came flying off the pace, but I worry. It's just, I don't know if the track playing to this, but who knows, if the race absolutely falls apart, the 7 going to be there, so the 5 sending, I would say. So again, 5-1 if narrow, if you're spreading 6-7-2. Okay. 3-7 if narrow, 2-1 if spreading. It's a main special. It's a great race. Hypnotica looks to be working well. Outside stocking post. These posts are not easy from out here going 8 furlongs. Is the biggest issue. I'll put Moonlit on top mainly because of the post, but the 7's a runner. I would have liked to seen at least 1 scratch, make life a little bit easier, but absolutely fits. Moonlit and Dorlinia, man. For Clement, Chad Brown got Ramallah in Hypnotica. So Moonlit, Miguel, Clement, Manny rides second and wins. Makes a lot of sense. Look at these races that both the Clement runners come out of. Much tougher at the Big A in Saratoga. The main specials drops 8 points in SOR here. Hold Oh shoot, sorry. Let me get rid of it. But from a works perspective, you can always see it. And if you're e-user, I have my notes, so you see that little yellow dot, or orange yellow dot. But these two have been working together. The 3 on paper looks to be working better, and they have blinkers for the first time. Miguel 21%. So I thought made a lot of sense on the drop, working well. Again, it's been working with the 2 who fits here. Don't get me wrong, but I like the 3 better than the 2. But and then from the Chad Brown runners, the 7 and 1, I think it's Chad or Clement here. Chad leading in wins, right? He up by 4 on Linda Rice. But this horse, the post is the only problem, but it's only 7-horse field, but it's just brutal out here. I mean, you want to be further inside. So, but it's working well. So I would expect that Pratt going to be forwardly placed, probably try to sit right off would be my guess. I mean, that's what they did last out, nearly won on the turf. You get 15-point genetic strength rate increase back to dirt. This horse want dirt and want longer. So I think can say a good stocking trip. 3-7. If you're spraying 2 in the 1, we talked about the 1, the 2, and then you've got leading rider Jose Ortiz for Chad on the rail. I mean, it's a good spot down here. I mean, I think it's fine, but has not broke necessarily well is the biggest concern. But it's Scotty long shot. Low GSR too. So 5-7, 3-7 if narrow, 2-1 if spreading. All right, race 4. I did not have a single, so I don't really know. Most of I whatever I talk about, I usually play something. I usually will try to share. I don't think I'm playing the pick 5. If I was, I'd go. I'm only 2 deep here, which is why 2 deep in the first and 2 deep here. But I really, again, both races kind of struggled to single. This is a tough race, but I do like Island Town the chalk. But if I like the race sim here, I talked about always run the race sim like that. So I like when horses get the lead up by over a length, and it extends at the second call in the race sim to over 2 lengths, right? So I'm taking a horse up front in the closer, but I just go with the picks in the race sim here in this race. I'm 3-2. I like the 3 to upset at a price. I might play NHC tourney if I'm assuming these races might be in the NHC tourney. I have not looked, but I like a couple prices, so we'll talk about those. But I thought the 3 might sit the trip here, but the 2 could get loose for sure. Island Town, lead rider Jose Ortiz, Steve. I don't bet a lot of horses back off their maiden win, but has a strong GSR, and this isn't a great group. It's really not. And I thought, there's not much here. It's never easy to come right back and win, but this is a good chance. And again, pace make the race, could get loose on the lead. It's just, it could win. And it could be a short price, I think. The E-morning line at even money is spot on. I think some others here might need the lead. You look at a horse like the 5 and maybe even the, I think it was the 8 maybe. I have to look at my notes. It's a tough post for the 8 too. The 5 also, the 4 was scratch, which was other speed. But I didn't really like the long shot here. It's a very low GSR. It's coming from tough, kind of tougher, Can for Sweezy. No, I like Tartable as the other closer. Rohan ships over from Colonial, has been, all over, right? Saratoga, Laurel, Aqueduct, Turfway, Laurel, Big A, Colonial. But Rohan just got this source off Chad Summers. I like that. Rohan doing very well down at Gulfstream. Not a ton of runners, but look, 20%, 230 mounts. You get Louis Saez to ride here. Louis either going to be up front but he can come off the pace too. And you look here, there's speed here to run into. You have a very strong GSR and SOR. So both combos andograms and a big drop in strength of race. Rohan got the trainer switch, but places this horse, I thought, at the absolutely right spot. cuts back to 6 out of 7 after showing some speed and fading and burning money versus tougher. But this horse has shown ability when broke its maiden going 6. So you get back to 6. You look at GSR Plus. Source is definitely a sprinter, and with either the 2 up front, you might get loose, or there's a lot of speed. If it falls apart, I like Tartable. So only 3-2. So I don't know. I might be able to get pick 5 in. I might try to just play a little bit cheaper, mainly because I like a long shot here. I take the 5. So and its top GSR is working well. We're on the turf sprinting 5.5, like for state bred main special babies. I mean, a lot could happen here. You know, the 8 does have the top pace, but I would expect some speed. You can see the 8 stops on the race sim. So 3-horse win, raise the roof. I have the 5 on top. It's the top GSR. Dylan rides for Ray. He had a great day yesterday, man. I mean, good for him. 20% at the meet, only 13% on the year. So it's been a struggle, but ran some big and won some big races yesterday. He's not great necessarily with firsters, right? But this one could surprise when you look at the GSR. Ultimately might be a dirt sprinter, but this horse is working well. I mean, was on the turf here for some works, but has been consistent for debut. I like to see that. A good work here right prior to debut. I like to see right around 12 seconds a furlong. But Waygate works back here. They got some turf. You know, it's just because this race is wide open from a maiden special. And yeah, maybe the 8 can get loose. You know, it maybe, but the racing thinks the source is going to stop, but it's going to be right there. So I would be probably spread here, but might play some narrow tickets. I don't like Tinian dropping in GSR so much for Cassie and Johnny V, but it's source going to take a lot of action. It was in the 10 post last out. I mean, it fits. Don't get me wrong. It's probably going to be the favorite, I would say. The 6 horse, the Scotty Longshot, first time starter angle for sure, 100% of play in a race like this. Falcone, you know, this one looks to be bred to go longer, but I think, you know, he know how to get him ready, man. 33% limited with 2-year-olds, but also the main special. And the long shot, first time starter angle is dangerous and can hit at prices. So I like the 6 even at a price. And then good aim. I mean, obviously Fitz, Jose, Rice. He has this one ready. So it's a tough main special weight. I mean, it really is. The 3 on debut win the race sim for deposit and Manny rides. So I would be spread probably in the pick 5. It's tough, but I put the 5 as a long shot on top. Again, working well, wide open group, turf sprint, you know, and I think from a GSR, it's top GSR. So race 6, 3-6-2 if narrow. If you're deep spread 4-5-8, it's another tough main special weight. Golden Siren, Jose, Cassie. You know, most of these were main track only scratches, FYI on that. The 9, I can't remember. But we'll watch the race in. You know, Golden Siren has raced once. It might just, I went here on top. 3-6-2 if narrow, and then 4-5-8 if deep spread. I could not come up with a pick 6 ticket that was cheap. So FYI, there it's tough. Saratoga tough. But Source has a big shot up front, 40% on the win end. Has speed. It's not necessarily great on the Saratoga turf, but it can be okay. 4-5 at a short price. So, you know, I didn't see as an absolute lock. I always tell people, but this horse should come back and run a big effort. And again, leading rider Jose Ortiz, the 4-5 on the morning line. I'd expect heavy action, and energy flows ultimately for the Rose. Drops getting over to the turf here. 2 sprints to a route, but it's on the grass. They're probably getting first jump. But I thought the first Doves and Hawks might have a look. Has been training really well. Chap Brown, Flavian Pratt. I mean, this horse looks to be curious. Watch the tote. So, and then you got Cherie DeVoe that shows up with Manny. This one looks ready for her. She does an absolutely outstanding job with the young ones. So this is a good turf main special today. Again, 3-6-2 if narrow, and then if you're deep spread, 4-5-8. So Georgia Magic 9 scratcher. You had a look, but that's a brutal post out there. And then we got a scratch from Urban Player, the 3. Georgia Magic up front on the dirt, 9-5 on the E morning line. I put the 7 on top, the top pick, Solo Venturi. Also have Rendered Judgment in this race. A big morning line angle in the long shot on Alan Turing, who might sit the trip. This is a tough race. Can the 6 wire the field? Yeah. Render Judgment shows up here. I mean, you look at Georgia Magic Shire, 3 of 6 limited runners. Will have to improve, but has won on the lead in back-to-back efforts by a combined 10 3/4 lengths at a good Magic, going 9 furlongs. After the claim from Ray, this one's running well. It's running well in the lead, but also has been facing easier, so we'll have to improve. Solo Venturi, Will Walden, Flavian Pratt again. This is where I went on top. 7-6-4-1. I think the picks have it. I threw Render Judgment in there as well. I wasn't a fan of Cook Creek for Maker and Mr. Santana. The one a good price and a long shot. Look at that win percent. So spread here. So again, it's tough. 5 would be deep spread. Again, your EEUs are pretty. I'm gonna put my notes here. So 7-6-4-1. This race. I mean, it's just tough. It's you have 2 trainers in Safi Joseph and Danny Gargan who have not had great Saratoga meets, but I think one of them winning today. There's a big pace advantage for Todd Siren, who ultimately does stop on the race sim. You have Boston's Finest, who's won 2 or 3 in a row. You can see it come 3, 1, 6, 7. I cut the 2 and 4. So we can add them back just for here. You look, I mean, 30 points is massive, right? Again, I cut the 2 and 4, but you look, but Safi's been cold, man. 1 for 32, but you get Pratt. Talk about him all day. I think he might have a big day. We'll see. But Toss Last Out versus a much tougher 66 group at Gulfstream sprinting 5. Both these efforts, look, the rail was way out. Rail a little bit out. We're at 18 feet at Saratoga. These were way out. Heavily favored speed. And Gulfstream can be crazy right on the turf with speed. So the Saratoga turf, obviously a much different turf course, but gets to 5.5. I don't see necessarily any issue with that. You look on the GSR, I think this horse is fine. You might even prefer the 5.5 over 5. So I just took the 6 and the 3 in this race. It's again, you look, Safi, right? 1 for 32 or 2? No. 1 for 32. One last look. Kerry Brown over 22 at Saratoga. Miguel, that's only for now here in this race. And then you got Boston's Finest for Bruce Brown, who's 11%. You get leading riders. So it's 6 or 3 or me. Maybe Pratt can run a great race on the front end. At this race sim, they take over, right? The 1 and the 3. But if he can get loose, he could take this group a really, really long way. One last knock, 1-2 back. Has one at 5.5, right, to break the maiden on the lead. But this horse not getting the lead. And if they tried, this race setting up for the 3. 3, Brown got a good one here, right? Very strong GSR, one last stout versus a tougher group. So it's 6 or 3 for me there. I again couldn't single, but that's the narrowest leg I for sure would go. And if you're, so I was 4-3 here if narrow, and then for the long shots, the 6 and the 5. But I might be narrow in this race in like a late pick 5. I thought the last main special I thought was a little bit tough too. So, but the 3 takes over. You can see on the race and wins fairly easily. So I thought this, and if the 5 does come running for Linda, but I always tell people if you don't like a horse, if you cut it on the race sim. And look, Iron Orchard's right there. So I thought this might be a 2-horse race. State Bred Stakes, the Fleet Indian for filly 3-year-olds. So you look at I ended up putting Iron Orchard on top. I'll go with Jose and Steve. I mean, they're dangerous. I mean, these are big drops, right? They go and they stretch back out to 2 sprints to route. I don't see any issue. I mean, going 9 can be the big question, but from the perspective, I think she ultimately wants to go long. You see, she's ran some really good races up front on the lead, sitting right off, won the Frazette for Gargan, now in Steve's barn. But he ran 2 very, very tough, once against State Bred 80, and then back in the Victory Ride here in July. So I thought now, and the last was the State Bred, but now finds back to State Bred is 4-point drop in SOR. And we know that there's going to be speed on the rail. So should get first jump, right? Might be able to sit the trip. But if not, Gargan over 17 at the meet, but I mean, she won 3 in a row. I mean, she's been romping in both her last 2 efforts. I mean, going for 4 once was that Finger Lake, stretches out to 9, the longest that she's gone. And she's run so well. Like Yaupan, I mean, she's very nice. I think the biggest question with her is she going to get the 9 furlongs? That's why I land on Iron Orchard, because I think she can. I just thought the speed up front and Power of Woman looked a little bit cheap. Proud Ride, I mean, it's a big step up. I mean, big time. Iron Orchard, I don't think needs the lead. Gets back to a more comfortable spot. Racing thinks she's sit right off, and she's right there. I mean, 3 takeover. And then if you're deep spreading me, see, I think you might get through with those 2. Lady Rose, Linda. I heard she had a bunch of horses scratch today, but this one stays in at the moment. Who knows? We'll have to improve. But if somehow the race kind of fall apart. But New York Special, obviously, for Cassie and Zayas, too, as a long shot. I mean, lightly raced, ran last out on the turf. You get a 16-point GSR increase. So I was 4-3-6, and then deep ad would be the 5 is the Scotty long shot, who's always dangerous. But race 10, and then I'll let you all go. We went about 30 minutes. So 3 minutes a race? Not bad. Man, this 7 horse does not like to break, like at all. is not a great breaker, whether it's in the morning or the track. Occasionally can break. Should be able to beat this group. It's not necessarily the best state bred main special. In situations like that, firsters can win a horse like the 4. Zap the Ghost, second pick. I believe Jose is riding there. Felixen, the 2, going to show speed. Excuse me. But on the race sim, they're all, I mean, they're all within 2 lengths. So to me, it shows it's competitive. It's kind of tough. I think the 2, the better horse of the speed to the inside. Zayas rides for Terra Nova on the 1, ran well versus 48 last out, comes right back. The 2 horse as well versus 54 the week before that has been right there and actually won, but was DQ'd as a firster. Morley struggled with this one a little bit, but they get back to 8.5. Dylan Davis rides, gonna be for the place. Zap the Ghost, we talked about Jose Ortiz Abreu has the 3 and the 4 in here. The 4 with Pratt as a firster, and then has Zap the Ghost with Jose. So he's definitely live, I would say, with 2 of the best jocks on the turf, obviously, here with Flavian Pratt and Jose Ortiz. So then you get down to Amazing Grace or Manny Franco ride for James Bond. And I said, I mean, it does not break. You see it in all of these trouble lines. Bobbled at the break, bumped at the break, steady, lunged at the break. She just has trouble. Poor. I mean, it's Katie rode in the first 3, and then Lascano, Jamie Rodriguez, and Manny. Manny definitely looked to improve last out. So it makes sense. Like, riding absolutely outstanding. In the works, she's been doing the same thing from what I've seen. So, but she should win this race. I mean, there's enough speed here to set it up for her. So, but she just needs a clean break and she can beat this group, was my perspective. The firster for Abreu, Flavian Pratt rides, I like this work way back here on the dirt. They're on the turf, which I think is you look at GSR Plus, might want the dirt, but she wants to go long. She could be dangerous as a firster here. She looks fit and ready to roll 100%. So 7-4. Zap the Ghost, Jose, the other Abreu definitely fits. I like Dylan up front. If somehow, can be on the lead or sit right off. I was against Zayas on the speed, so thought that Dylan a little bit of a better spot here on the 2 horse. Dropping is the only horse that's won, but got DQ'd, but had them finish second back-to-back efforts at this level. So definitely fit. And then if you're deep spread, the 6 and 5, because they are closing on the race sim. So if in a tough race like this, but that's my 2 cents. I'll post the sheet. I'll let you all do with it what you want. I'll definitely be playing some. I might play NAC tourney, and play a couple entries and try to catch some prices on maybe some of these. But I appreciate you all. We'll be back, but doing Gulfstream Park tomorrow. I'll be back doing Gulfstream this weekend. I think it might be last mandatory Monday. So Saturday, Sunday. I know we have at least this Monday. I'm not sure if there's another one. Saturday, semi, and then for Equinedge, Oldie be back. He usually just put his notes in. But if you're looking at Equinedge user, there's notes in there. And as I mentioned, I'll drop the my grid for the day. Good luck, y'all. Great day for racing. Great weather up there. If you're there, have fun. It's a great spot. Took my kids there last summer. Go Mariners. They need to win. They on the struggle bus. But as I mentioned, if you just joined us, Cade Anderson got called up. He got called up. That kid can pitch coming out LSU. So their offense a little bit better, but they still got a shot. The AL is no bueno. All right, y'all. Have fun today. Good luck. Happy Friday. Have a good weekend. We'll be back tomorrow.